This is from Star Wars Theory on X. Star Wars Theory has the largest YouTube channel about Star Wars, bigger than the official Star Wars channel. He shared a Star Wars Theory says Amanda Stenberg's response to the Acolyte being canceled. Do you agree with her? She says, paraphrasing, that the show suffered from tons of vitriol, bigotry, and racism and hate from the alt-right, which essentially is what got it canceled. I don't know about all that. I just thought it was a poorly written show that was boring and effed with the lore. I'll have a video response up soon. I have a couple things to chime in on. Now, this is Amanda Stenberg's. This video is 8 minutes. We may end up playing the whole thing.
Okay.
But we still have films to review. But let's take a look at this. I'll stop at certain points, but take a look at this. And it's a typical, she's doing her hair, which makes her, kind of human, I guess. She's doing a sort of mundane thing while talking to you. But I want to remind people, she's a millionaire. And she has the luxury, I guess, of being able to express her opinion here. She has a right to her opinion. Let's take a look.
However, I feel okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Hello. I thought I would get on here and just speak candidly. I hate doing this, but I'm gonna do it. I don't use social media very much anymore, and I'm so happy about that. But there are many folks out there that I want to acknowledge and I want to show appreciation and love and support for. So that's why I'm hopping on here to talk about this, which is that our Star Wars show, has been canceled. And I'm going to be transparent and say that it's not a huge shock for me. Of course, I live in the bubble of my own reality, but for those who aren't aware, there has been a rampage of vitriol that we have faced since the show was even announced, when it was still just a concept and no one had even.
Do you remember, were people criticizing? I think the only thing people criticized about the Acolyte was the Star Wars Celebration presentation, where they did that's where Yaz came in, and they said it was talked about Star Wars being a patriarchal franchise, and this is a show about women, made by women, and there's a matriarchy that's part of it. I think people were that was a red flag. What do you think, Alan?
Yeah, I remember that. But then again, I forgot it when the show finally came out.
Well, yeah, then you judge the show for what the show is.
Yeah, I got to take a phone call real quick. So
okay, sure. I'm going to keep playing this. So, and then we'll yeah.
Seen it. And that's when we started experiencing a rampage of, I would say, hyper conservative bigotry and vitriol, prejudiced hatred and hateful language towards us. And this really affected me when I first got the job, because it's just not something, even though I anticipated it happening, it's not something you can fully understand what it feels like until it's happening to you. However, I feel like I've kind of moved through those feelings in various ways, including being vocal about it myself. For me, it just became a situation where there was no option but for me to honor my sense of ethics and my belief system and my value system.
She has a right to have these views.
Mm-hmm.
I think her views may be skewed by the bubble. She mentions being in a bubble. These views are skewed from hearing only people tell her positive things, only people from the show and Lucasfilm, because it's weird. If you've ever been on a film set, celebrities or the talent are treated very differently. They are, everything that comes to them is filtered. Any thoughts on what we've seen so far? We're only about a third of the way through this.
I mean, it's. I'll just say this: it's sad that someone so young is already thinking this way. That this line of thinking is something she's going to carry into adulthood, and it's sad. And as you say, it's what separates actors from the rest of us, because we've actually lived lives. I've never been on a hit TV show. I've never been on a failing TV show. I've had to get jobs and support families and live day-to-day life, buy my own groceries. And I don't know what we're doing to theater kids nowadays, but it's not good.
Let's continue.
While being in this very unique position, it was kind of like I had this very unique experience of experiencing the world at large, which is, of course, hyper divisive right now, through the lens of this very, very unique opportunity of being in Star Wars. And it brought up a lot for me, a lot socio-political dynamics, a lot about my own value system, how I respond to that kind of hatred, how I move through the world at large.
I want to point out, she's not the first Black actor who has been in Star Wars. Billy D. Williams was in Star Wars in 1980. Samuel L. Jackson was in Star Wars in 1999. Obviously, the sequel trilogy was very diverse. I don't. So again, she is allowed to have these opinions, and I can see why she's come to the conclusion she's come. What makes me sad is this: she has no real friends who will tell her the truth. What I feel very fortunate is that I have a lot of real friends who will call me out on my BS, including Mr. Alan Ng, including Dante or Gary from. I'm so aware that I have friends who call me on my BS. I try to check myself so my friends don't have to do that to me. And I get the sense that she's in a bubble with no real friends, only friends that validate what she already thinks, or her manager, agent, whatever, who are just telling her, it's not her fault, which it actually is not. When it comes to the actors, you cannot blame the actors. Even though I thought she was not a standout, she was not really good in the film, the series. I'm sorry, she was not.
But it was the script she was given. Let's be honest.
Yes, the scripts, she didn't have a lot to work with. So, there you are. And you had a really inexperienced people making a TV show. Let's be fair.
With an agenda.
Yeah, with an agenda. So I don't know if you have any comments.
Yeah, let me just say this.
Please.
You just mentioned that me and Dante and Gary, we call you out on your bullshit. The thing is we've never called you out on your bullshit because you've never really said anything that required us to call you out. And I'll say this:
we've gotten in fights on the show, but it's over.
It's about movies. It's about movies and TV. We're not. It's not about race. And the reason why we don't really call each other out is because we believe in this concept called common sense.
Right.
We've had this common sense since childhood, since the 70s and 80s and until now. We understood that Billy D. Williams was added to Empire Strikes Back because The first film was a completely white cast, and it needed some kind of flavor and excitement to it. And there
Let
you
me
go.
put a
Billy
pin in what you're saying right now. Lucas wanted more. It was the studio.
Yeah.
He wanted Toshiro Mifune to play Obi-Wan, an Asian actor, and they wouldn't let him. And also where he shot in London,
not a lot of
locals.
Yeah.
You know, so to be fair,
but that speaks to
George
Lucas. I'm sorry.
Okay. George Lucas recognized that, and so he wasn't like I think that Lucas is unfairly criticized. He had 3 sets of a trio of Han, Luke, and Leia. He had other actors, and it was of its time, you can say, but Toshiro Mifune was his pick to be Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
So,
but the common sense back in the 70s and 80s was that yes, the studios were racist at the time. That people of color, minorities were exploited at times, were not used, were favored over white people,
given fewer jobs for sure.
In the 70s and 80s. And the idea that those ideas that people just want to see white people, or that black people and minorities can't act, is not true today. And for her to complain today about being a minority actor starring in a television show and people not liking it, for them to say that this is racism, it just shows that they have no common sense. And we've talked about this several times, but we are closer to equality today than we have ever been. And it is people who want to continue the division that keeps us from crossing that hurdle and just saying, look, we're Americans. That period. We no more conversation beyond that.
Let's continue, and then we have a lot of comments. We will get to my promise, and then we have movies to review.
I know.
There we go.
There's a reason why we're pushing movies on.
And it just became inarguable for me at a certain point that in order to continue to be myself, I would have to honor my value system by being vocal, even within the context of working for Disney and working within the large massive IP that is Star Wars. On that topic, I just have to say it has been an incredible honor and dream for me to be in this universe. It still feels, even though, of course, I'm very sad about the show being canceled, and I'm sad about us not being able to give people who are invested into it more, because we'll just feel a lot of levity and joy around the fact that I got to experience it, and that people loved it, and that people were so responsive. I poured through a lot of different iterations of fan art and ship art and fan theories and things that were just so beautiful and filled my heart with joy. And I just want to let those people know out there who supported us in that way, and supported us vocally, despite and in the face of all of the vitriol that we received and the kind of the targeted attack, I would say, we received by the alt-right, just that you were deep.
Alt-right? It seems so. Was all the criticism from alt-right?
Yeah, what alt-right values? She talks about value system. What
it seems like it seems like a dated term. Like,
well, it's lazy. It's like, I did a great job, but the racists hate me. So she can't come to the grips that A, the show is bad, and that B, her performance may not have been the greatest. And quite frankly, I'll just say this: her performance, it's clouded by a bad script and bad direction.
Let's continue.
Yeah,
really loved and appreciated, and it made this job all the worthwhile for me, and it made all of the challenging elements of it completely worthwhile for me. And so that plus my love of sci-fi and fantasy, and being able to be a part of the legacy of something that I so deeply value, and something that means so much to me, and I've looked up to for so long. So I also just want to say thank you to Lucasfilm for just being a fucking awesome team. They were so wonderful to work with, and just everybody that I worked with in Lucasfilm, particularly Rain Roberts, my producer, was just had such like vision and hope and like such a mission for what we were going to continue bringing
Stop for
into
a
the
second.
sci-fi universe.
Yeah.
Into the
Right.
Star Wars
So
universe.
is she accepting an Emmy right now?
Yeah, it sounds like it. There will be no Emmy nominations for the Acolyte. That is my
Oh,
prediction.
there will be.
Zero.
No,
Only
there
two-
will be. They have to.
You think so?
Own. Yeah, they have to own the chuds, and so they're gonna give it Emmy nominations.
Ugh. Let's finish this.
And it was a really beautiful, energizing, life-changing experience to be a part of. And I have to thank Leslie Headland, who I just fucking love that bitch. She just, excuse my French, she's just one of the best people in the world. I think she's so incredibly talented and unique and kind. And I'll love her forever. And I love this experience with her forever. But at the end of the day, I also just want to thank everybody who watched it. Thank you for being so loving and supportive.
She's thanking us, Alan, because we watched every episode.
We did. In fact, we encouraged people to watch that third episode.
By the way, this still right here where we stopped it, that's on the thumbnail for the clip. Glenn, did you hear that?
You're evil.
That's the thumbnail.
You're pure
all right,
evil.
let's keep going here.
And excited and nerdy and awesome and
oh my god, she's so young.
I'll continue to process this for a long time. But maybe the last thing I want to say on the subject is that we all exist in the context of all in which we live. But I'm serious. It's not lost on me how the way that these events have unfolded is also due to the hyper divisiveness of the time that we live in, that is driven, I would say at this point, by echo chambers of thought and algorithms that reinforce our biases.
Irony.
And I think that applies to everybody. But I think that in a particular sect of people, it manifests as a lot of...
It's ironic she's saying that.
I know. At least she recognizes that.
Well, does she? I don't. Again.
Well, she just said it. It's like everyone does it, but in a particular segment of that, you know.
It's the I'm right and you're wrong, and that doesn't work. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Fear for what is changing, and a lot of hatred for anything that is other.
No, hatred for what?
And I would challenge us all and challenge myself to continue questioning what it is that I digest, and think critically about what shapes it. And let's vote, y'all. Let's vote. Let's vote. I think that's all I have to say. Wow, this is 10 minutes long. We'll see if I post this. Bye.
All right.
I love it. The cancellation of the show is a reason to vote for Kamala Harris.
Yeah, you sort of, yeah. What? I think we've said it. She has a profound lack of people in her life to tell her the truth. And to me, in order to create even good art or great art or a competent TV show, you need people telling the truth. That lighting looks awful. That hairstyle she spent 10 minutes on is not very flattering. She looks, I think the hairstyle is not flattering. I think the hair she had in her diss track was better. You need people, you need to surround yourself with people willing to tell you things you don't want to hear, because that's the very thing you do need to hear. Final thoughts, Alan, before we go to comments.
Yeah. You talk about this echo chamber. This entire cast and crew and set of the Acolyte. The echo chamber, the message in the echo chamber is our shit don't stink. Everyone in this show believed that they were making the greatest Star Wars ever, along with making the gayest Star Wars ever. But all of them, they're just the reactions. They just believe that we made the best thing ever, and they don't understand why people don't like it. And when told that we don't like it, and then when given reasons why we don't like it, they label you alt-right just so they can dismiss everything you've just said. And that is a shame here, because I don't understand it. But again, television shows have been canceled for decades.
Right.
No show has ever lasted forever except wrestling. And
or the Simpsons.
Or the Simpsons. And the idea that that to react this way because your show got canceled, I've never seen a reaction like this in my history of watching television. And I've had great shows that I loved be canceled mid-story, so I don't know how it's gonna end.
Right.
And guess what? I just went on with life and moved on to another show.
Yeah.
So again, what are we doing to our youth? This is why our youth are so messed up right now, because they can't take criticism, and we refuse to allow them to take criticism.